What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Matt's Mind. Here we're on episode 51. This is a weekly Q&A series every single Monday on the channel. If you guys have any questions you want me to answer or be featured in next week's episode, drop a comment down below. Of course, guys, make sure you subscribe and drop a like. I'm accompanied by some of my 501st boys for today's episode. Let's go and get started. Mateo starting off with saying, there are many ways of cleaning your scratch Lego pieces, but as a mock builder that you are, what do you suggest is the best way? So honestly, I haven't really run into that many issues with scratched pieces. Most of the time I actually end up liking the aesthetic, believe it or not, because let's take an axis. For example, whenever I'd find like sort of older grayed out, maybe scratch grayed pieces, I'd kind of like the aesthetic that it gives off, because it sort of gives off this like old-fashioned rundown look. If you're wanting to fix your scratched pieces, I actually don't know of too many ways to do that. I would honestly just look into getting a new piece, especially if it's not something that's super rare or super expensive. But I'm sure there are ways to clean your scratched Lego, maybe like scrubbing it with some sort of chemical or something like that, but I honestly don't know too many solutions for you. SW is asking, do you think you'd ever be interested in smaller, hyper-detailed mocks, such as ones by H2Brick, First Order Lego? It seems to be becoming a lot more popular lately. So this has actually been quite a popular thing in the community, especially the Instagram and Flickr community for a very long time. And the only reason why I tend to stray away from really detailed smaller mocks is because the way I build and the way I perceive Lego as a hobby, that's just not sort of the way that I want to build. I love seeing mocks, like I said, from H2Brick and from First Order Lego. Some of my favorite mocks are from both of them. I'd rather build something bigger, something large scale with less detail, because I think that's going to be more impressive here on YouTube. But again, on Instagram, maybe even at conventions, and smaller ones might definitely catch your eye as well. But I don't really see me ever making that transition to building anything smaller than a 2x2 or a 3x3. It's just not the way I want to build, not the way that I think Lego mocks really need to be hyper detailed like that, at least in my opinion. Unboxing Brix is asking, what is the best custom clone trooper that is available to buy? This might be a little biased, and I do want to say I have been sponsored by this company before, but Minifigs for You, it has been hands down the best print quality I have ever held. I've had a lot of different experiences with different companies, including CAC, AV Figures, Minifig Co., pretty much all the big ones in the Lego community, and I do have to say Minifigs for You does have the best prints. Again, I have been sponsored by them multiple times, so please take that with a grain of salt, but in my honest opinion, but in my experiences, especially with the Bad Batch minifigures, the Captain Rex, and a bunch of other cool ones that I've had, I definitely prefer the Minifigs for You print. However, the CAC prints, especially on the Mandalorian Death Watch Troopers and the Maul Mandalorians, have been really great and among my top minifigures of all time. But if I had to choose only one, I'd probably say Minifigs for You. Again, I've been sponsored by them, but that is completely my own opinion, not influenced by anything. Brickcats is asking, what is the one element you would like Lego to make that you find yourself missing on your mocks? For me, it's 1x1 or 1x2 inverted tile. I was actually gonna say the same exact thing. I always find that whenever I build a surface and there's an underneath, I mean, there's always 2x2 inverted tile, but usually the inverted tile is something I'm missing very often. It often helps to make a smooth surface for whatever I'm building, especially underneath, which usually comes in handy. I mean, there is one other thing. I think this isn't necessarily an element, but I would really like Lego to expand their light up accessories. I know there's been battery boxes and light up parts in the past, but I feel like if Lego devoted the same amount of time that they did to video or hit inside and invested in an actual line of product that would sell really well for all ages, both young adults, T-falls, A-falls, everyone, I would love to see an actual line dedicated to Lego lights. I think that would be great. But until then, I'll keep using brick stuff, and I'll keep using Light My Bricks and all that kind of stuff. Brick Spray is asking, what Star Wars sets do you think we will get in 2022, and will we get more Bad Batch sets? I think absolutely. In fact, a set that I've been really looking forward to and really hoping Lego makes is something involving Kamino from the Bad Batch. We've never gotten a Kamino set ever. I don't believe we at least have. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm really interested to see if we can get a Kamino set that maybe has Grand Moff Tarkin, maybe even some Shock Troopers. I think that would be a really cool set to make. I'm hoping in 2022 we get more Bad Batch and probably Book of Boba sets. I'm not really too much looking forward to Book of Boba. Bad Batch is sort of my own priority right now, but I'm hoping in 2022 we get something revolving around Kamino. I think that would be super awesome to get as a fan of both the show and obviously Kamino as a planet. Fastbrick says, asking, if you wanted to build an Umbara like I am, what scene would you make / build? Congrats on 30k subs. Thank you. If I was building Umbara, I think I'd do two different things. I have two different scenes. One would obviously be the most iconic, you know, the highway march down when they get ambushed. I think it's pretty standard, but it's also very overdone in my opinion. One thing I would like to see from Umbara is actually making the military base that they set up in, that Palm Krail sort of goes off and where they steal all the different Umbaran fighters and stuff like that, like the big tower and all the ships in the hangers around it. I think that would be really, really cool to see. Typically, it's not something you tend to see whenever you look in Umbara mocks in the first place. So if I was building Umbara, I definitely include those two things together. Sideboy is asking, will I take an Axis to Brickfair Virginia? Unfortunately not. I was planning on taking it last year. COVID happened, obviously. An Axis has been torn down for months and months now, so there's zero chance I'm bringing it. I might bring my Ringo Vinda mock from my CAC collab from a couple of months ago, just to bring as something. I'm trying to think of things that I can bring, but next year is definitely going to be a lot more planned because there's 100% going to be a convention. This year, an Axis is definitely not coming because it is pretty much destroyed completely. Flowmars Brix is asking, do you prefer to build your Lego clone army on CAC, AV figures, or official clone troopers? How does the value differ for customs and official? So if I'm building an army, plate simply, I kind of want the Lego version because it's going to be a little bit more affordable. Making an army of, 1,000 of the custom CAC 501st when they're $20, $15 each is going to be a lot of money. But obviously, if you're able to find battle packs, maybe on clearance, you get a little bit more value for what you're buying. So if I'm building a huge army, I will tend to have accessories such as the Firestar Toys arms or something like that to add to my army. But if we're talking purely the bulk of the army and the numbers and the quantity of troopers, I do prefer the official Lego versions. However, I would not be opposed to having large sections of my army contributed to the AV figures or to the CAC or anything like that. Kevin Gomley is asking, what's a new Master Builder series set that you would love to see next? I've been saying this for a long time. I'd love to see a remake of the Ewok Village in Master Builder's form. We've gotten Betrayal at Cloud City. We've gotten the Mos Eisley Cantina. That's episodes 4 and 5. It's only a matter of time before we get to episode 6, and having the Ewok Village and Endor would just be such a really cool thing to get back, especially when you talk about the minifigures that could hypothetically have. Of course, you'd have all the core 3, Han, Luke, and Leia in their Endor outfits. You could have a whole bunch of new Ewoks, which would be really cool. Get some Scout Troopers, some Stormtroopers for the attack, maybe even another cool ATST. But Endor is one of my favorite planets. Obviously, I had to cancel the mock, unfortunately, but I think getting a Master Builder series Endor with the trees and the treehouse and the whole Ewok village and maybe even the lake would be really cool. So I'm hoping that we get something Endor related for the next Master Builder series set. The last question for today comes from the Kong Empire. What's a Star Wars ship that you think needs to be made in Lego? Well, I've been saying this for a long time, and this has already been made into Lego, but number one, it's been made years and years ago, and number two, that set was horrible, at least in my opinion. The Venator. UCS Venator needs to be made in a large Lego version. It has to be eons better than the Playscale version. Of course, that's already been made into Lego, I guess technically, but when it comes to other sets that haven't been made in Lego, I really don't know what else I could choose. I mean, maybe we can get a cool Corvus set from Star Wars Battlefront 2, which I thought was really cool, but the only ship that I really want to have either remade or made into Lego is the Venator in a UCS scale. I think that'd be really cool. Well, guys, that's all the time we got for today's episode. Hope you all enjoyed. Drop a like down below. Like I said, if you guys have any questions you want to be featured in next week's episode for me to answer, drop them down in the comments section. And of course, drop a like on the video. We'll see you later. Take it easy. Peace.